everyone, I'm Bonnie Krebs from Art Impressions. Welcome to Watercolor Wednesday. This one's a little different because I want to take a minute and just make a quick announcement. So Watercolor Wednesday has been going on for 4.5 years now. I have loved doing it. I appreciate all of you who have followed me from the beginning and some of you who might be new to Watercolor Wednesday and new to watercolor stamping. It is so fun to do. I try to mix up the projects and create something fun for you every week. So, but I really think it's time to switch it up a little bit. I want to hear from you. I want to hear your comments. I want to hear your struggles. I want to hear your requests. And so what I'm going to do now is I'm going to do a Wednesday live. So every other week, the first and third Wednesdays of every month will now be Wednesday live on Facebook. So you can get on there, you can comment, you can request, you can tell me what you're struggling with, and I will answer your questions and be able to do some interacting. I really feel like that's missing, and I want to know how you're doing. And so I hope you'll follow me on Facebook. You'll be getting some more information. Be sure to sign up for our newsletter. Go to artimpressions.com if you haven't already. Sign up for our newsletter so that you'll be sure not to miss any information that's coming out. But we will be starting June 3rd. Will be my first live Facebook, so I hope you will bear with me. It will be my first one, so I'll try not to be too awkward. But what I'm gonna do this time, so this very first one, I wanna do a troubleshooting video. So actually not a video, a live. So be there with your comments and your questions, and I wanna answer some of those frequently asked questions, things that you might be struggling with. So that's what the plan is for June 3rd. So I hope you'll join me. Stay with me on Facebook Live, and then of course stay with me on YouTube too. So Watercolor Wednesday will continue on YouTube, and but it will be every second and fourth Wednesday now, and then live Facebook on live Wednesdays. So come with me. I will see you on Facebook. Thanks so much, everyone. Hey, and be sure to comment below. Let me know what you think about that. Let me know your thoughts. All right, let's get on to the project. And here is this week's project. It's a little two-story shop, and what I've done is I've taken one of these structures. So this is from our newest release. These are the large shops and the large cabin set, and I've made it into a two-story structure. And this is one of my favorite things to do, is to find versatile ways to use these besides the obvious way. And you can sort of mix these up and change the look of them just by turning them into a two-story little structure. So really, really fun to do, and actually much easier than you would think. So let's get started with this project. So I'm using this little one here, but like I said, you could use any of these, all four of these. You can actually do this with any of the structures. The little tiny ones might be a little small, but any of the medium-sized ones will work with this technique. So this one right here in the shop set, we're going to use this one from the branches set. Now in here, in this original, I used it in the background for these trees. So you can use any trees that you have. Anything that you want to do in the background, you can. So I just happened to use this one, and then I used the small foliage with it. But like I said, you can change it up and use what you have. We're going to use the small foliage set. You can use either one of these. And then in the original foliage set, the little grass, we use that one. And then I'm using some of these little decorative items from this new release. So this is the lamppost set, and I'm going to use this one here, and then I'm going to use the little weather vane from here. But this is purely optional. You can use these if you have them or not. It's not going to change your image. So like I said, make this your own, use what you have, and this is just to give you an idea. Okay, so let's get started on this. Really fun to do. We're going to start out with that basic image, and that would be this one. And I've placed it on my block, and I've placed it into the top right-hand corner. And for a couple of reasons, I want to make sure that I stamp it straight, but I'm going to just stamp the bottom part first, and then I'm going to line up the top with a positioner. So I really recommend a positioner for this project. If you don't own one of these, this is a really good investment. It's a little L bar, and it comes with this little plexiglass shield, and this will help you line up all your little things. So when you go to place a bird on a branch, or there's no guesswork because these stamps are all rubber. So it's hard to see where they are. And a little positioner like this, it's really handy. It's easy to travel with. And if you don't have one, I would really, really recommend that you get one of these. So we're going to use that. And then I am going to also use the Molotov. So I haven't taken this out in a while, and I used this in the last project, and it was so much fun. I'm going to use it again. So I really do love that. Okay, so let's get back to the little structure, and we're going to ink it in two colors, so the brown and the blue. And I'm just going to ink the bottom part of this little structure. So right at the top of the door, from the top of the door on down. And I'm going to just come straight across here. And then I'm going to go over it with the brown, the dark brown. So this is the number 969, and that was, the dark blue was the 565. So these are the two basic pens that everything starts with, most of the time. One or the other, or both. Okay, so now that I've got this all stamped on here, I'm just going to stamp it off. I don't want it too dark. So I'm going to just stamp that off onto another piece of paper. And then I can stamp this onto my watercolor paper right now. So there we go. We've got it stamped on here. And now we can come back in and do the top part. So I'm going to clean this off now. And I'm just using a baby wipe. And in this case, you really do have to clean it off. Usually I just use my thumb and go like this, but I really don't want any residual ink on here. So in this case, I really do have to clean it off. Okay, so now that it's all cleaned off and dry, I'm going to just ink the top. So the top part, same way with the dark blue. And just kind of run this over the side of your marker, and then come back with the brown over the top. And we're going to stamp this off as well. Don't want it too dark. And now I'm going to use my positioner. And this is part of the reason I put it into the corner, because it's a big stamp and I want to make sure that it fits onto this plexiglass. So now I can see exactly where to put it. And you can make it, as tall as you want. Maybe you want a 3-story. That's totally up to you. So let's place it over here so that it's centered. And make sure that is in the right place. That looks pretty good. And if it's not perfect, that's okay. All right, and there we go. And you can see I've got a little bit of the top part onto here and a little bit under here. None of that really matters because we're gonna wash it all out anyway. So don't ever stress out about that. Okay, so now I'm taking my fine tip. So this is a twin tone. This is the dark brown, same color that we started with. It's the same color as this one, the 969. And I'm going to just sort of pencil or draw in these lines. So just carefully, not too dark, just so that we have an idea of where the lines are. Okay, so now let's go on and let's add the Molotov. So while this is drying, we can continue on and do the rest of our image. So shake this up, and what you want to do is just kind of pump it. Make sure you've got all that coming out, and then just add it to your little window boxes. Some bigger, some smaller. Hang them out, down over the side, and you can just put as many as you want in here. If you want to add some color, just do half of the window box. Or you can just stamp in, some grasses or some vines and just do a full color also. I'm going to come up here and do this area. Make sure that you get this enough fluid on here. If you don't get enough, it'll kind of bleed through. The ink will bleed through, and it won't do as efficient job. Okay, so while that's drying, we can go ahead and add some color now to this little structure. And we're going to do that with the markers and the palette, of course. So I'm just going to add some color now to my palette. This is the dark blue. This is number 565. And this is number 526. Let's add some bright pink. This is number 725. This is number 947. And some greens. This is number 249 and 177. So I've got lots of color onto my palette, and I'm ready to start painting this little house. So you can color this however you would like. You know, that's totally up to you. I'm just going to start out by adding some color in here. This is that warm brown. And there's a lot of color on this little structure. So we're kind of pulling the color out of the lines as we're going. But you can do that step first too. Now you can see I left a little highlight here on the edge. Try to remember to do that. That will bring that corner forward. So you can see that the angle of the house, the little house, kind of goes back, and you've got this little corner that's in the foreground. And if you leave that white, it will sort of bring it forward. So it's, you know, the illusion of something that's three-dimensional. Okay, let's continue on here with these little windows. So let's add a little color in here. And I'm going to show the idea of some curtains. Now you can do this however you want to. You could do a little scallop. Just something a little decorative in here. And, you know, it doesn't, you know, always never has to be perfect, because we're just given the idea. And you can see, you know, because we've left that white, that, you know, clearly there's a little curtain there. So cute. And then this one up here is kind of a small window, so I'm just going to color that in solid. Okay, so let's add some more color now to our little house, our little shop. And just brushing this in. This is that warm blue, number 526. And we can make this as dark as we want. And every time you go over it, it's going to get a little bit darker. Okay, that looks good. I'm going to add a little more color now to this little brown section, now that it's dry. And I think I'll mix just a little bit of blue in here to make this a little darker. Anytime that you can kind of mix up the color a little bit so it doesn't look so uniform, that's always a good idea. And let's put some detail in here. I think I'm going to use my tiny brush. This is my number 1. Kind of switching this out now and going to the number 1, and I'm just going to make some little details in here. Kind of gets a little lighter as you go towards that edge, and then darker over here on the side. Okay, so we've got that little decorative touch on there. I think I'll leave the top of this little house white. So I'm just gonna pull the shadow colors out. Even if it's white, you know, it's not uncolored. So we're gonna see some shadows in here, and especially on this side. So this is going to be the dark blue over here. And we can just really kind of darken this area. And pull out some of this color here now along this little sign. And just take your time on these. You know, there's so much fun. And the coloring part is really fun too. So, you know, I'm always conscious of the time on these videos, but you know, when you're doing it at home, just take your time. Take your time and enjoy the process. It's so fun. And when you have a starting point and you kind of have a structure to it. In other words, you know where to start, you know what to add next. It takes the stress out. Just makes it fun. And the color, you know, we're adding the color. It's a process. So you're going over it. Every time you go over it, it gets a little darker. These little window boxes now, we can add some shadows to here. This would be the shady side over here. And then underneath here. You can always come back in and add a little more color. Okay, so let's go on to the roof. We're going to do a little tin roof, and this is so fun to do. I want to show you this again. I think I've showed it to you in another video ways back, but it's just so much fun to do. I'm going to show you again. So we're going to take the fine tip. This is a twin tone. This is the brown, and we're just going to make a little scallop along the edge. So just a little scallop, just like that, and you're going to do the same on the top. Just a little scallop, just like this. And then you're going to go over it again with the dark blue. So this is the same dark blue. It's number 565. And we're going to take that fine tip and you're going to go over the same line. Just like that. And now you're going to take your brush and just pinch it off. Move my palette out of the way here. And you're going to just drag this color down. And let's go over that one more time. Make sure we get enough color on here. And we can create a really cute little tin roof. There we go. And let's make this really dark underneath and in here. Okay, so let's go on to the next step and let's do this little chimney. And we can start out by pulling the color out of the lines here. And we can add a little blue to it, especially on this side where it's more of a shadow. We can add some color in there. And this little awning. And let's take something bright. And we can make just a little decorative stripe. I'm using my number 4 brush, but number 1 would be probably easier. Okay, there we go. Let's just make a little detail here on this. On this little curtain. I'm just going to come in here into these corners and really darken these corners. And underneath this little board, this little decorative board area. So come along here with your fine tip brown and just sort of make these little plank lines with your fine tip. It's going to add a little more interest, make it look a little more three-dimensional. So just kind of come along the top. these little lines. Okay, we're getting there. Just gonna add a little more shadow here now. And in here. Okay, and our masking fluid, of course, is dry by now. So I'm just going to take my green. I'm going to take my little foliage and add some green in here. And it doesn't, it doesn't matter how you stamp this in here. We're just getting this color in. Stamp a few down like this. And then let's add some up here to this window box. So you can see I'm adding the color and then I'm stamping at least, 2 or 3 times. So we're still doing that, even though the area is small. So now I'm dipping my brush, pinching it off. And just adding a little water, just a tiny bit. We don't want to lose those lines, but we want to soften them. And make sure that we're getting enough color around all of this Molotov mask. So that white really pops out. And then I would take a little blue of this dark blue and just come underneath here and add up some little shadows. Where these little flowers are hanging over. I'll darken in this. I'll darken that little door handle. If you see any of these lines being washed out, just go back over them with your fine tip. It's perfectly fine to do that. I do that all the time. And when I switched from Marvy to Tombow, that's the thing I really missed the most, was that fine tip on the back of my pen. But I really, really like these twin tones. I think they're actually even finer. Than the Marvies. Okay, so let's take this off now. Make sure the green and everything is really dry before you do this, because you don't want to smear your color. This is always the fun part because it's kind of like the big reveal. Okay, and you can leave it really simple. It's really also, it's really cute to just leave it with a white background and put a little sentiment on it or put it on a card. You can drag out the bottom. You can drag this color out from the bottom and create a little path here. I've done it both ways, and I really don't have a preference. It's just whatever I think at the moment to do. Just adding a little shadow underneath these. You can see how that really pops these little flowers out. It's such a little thing to do, but it really makes a difference. And when you're creating these little paintings, it's the little things that you do, the little tiny steps that really, really make a difference. And that's what makes it look like a painting. Otherwise, it just looks like a coloring book. So I'm going to take some of this green now. And I'm just gonna create a little path here. Just so I can kind of see where everything's going. And then I'm gonna take my grass, my little grass stamp, and you can use any green on this. And just come right along the bottom of the little structure. And you can do as much of this as you want. You can, you know, walk it around a corner. So this little grass is so tiny that you can move it any direction. And then you're just going to pull that color. Just pull it straight up and out. Don't be afraid to take the fine tip. So if you want to add a few little areas, you know, maybe you didn't get it stamped or you want it to look a little different, take your fine tip and just draw a few more in. Just like that. So now to put the trees into the background, I'm going to use my Post-it tape. This is my best friend. I use this thing all the time. And I can kind of cover these areas so that I don't get, I don't stamp that tree over the top. So I can just put it here. It doesn't have to be exact. And then maybe we'll just put one here. So now I can ink this up. And I'm going to use two colors. So I'm going to use the brown, kind of towards the bottom half. And then the green up here towards the top and then over the entire thing. And you have to ink it, you know, stamp it in here a couple of times. Let's go back over it one more time here with the green. And then we'll get some more in here. And this tape, by the way, is reusable. So I have this stuck all over my desk. And I use these little things over and over again. So they keep sticking. So you can even stick them on top of each other and you can reuse them over and over again. So I do love that about them. Okay, now I'm going to add some more of this foliage. And let's pick a different green. So I'm using this cool green now. This is the number 249. And just put, you know, as much of this in as you want. There's no, you know, really no right or wrong way. Kind of depending on what kind of tree you want. This is pretty generic. And I'm leaving, you know, some little branches, so I'm not stamping the foliage over everything. And when you add the water to it, that brown kind of mixes in and it really adds a nice color. So now we're just, you know, we're just dabbing. So you don't want to get that all inked in solid. And just kind of jump your brush around, just like that. Let's take a little of this blue and just add some sky in here. Make sure your sky doesn't get away from you. You know, avoid this direction here. And what you're doing is you're laying that color down and you're just kind of pushing it around. You can have some light or dark areas, but don't let it go past your composition. Okay, so let's add our little details in here. You can do as much of this as you want to. I love these little accessory sets. They're really fun to add. Make really cute little additions. So I'm going to ink this little lamp post. And of course I'm going to use my positioner because I couldn't begin to guess where that would go. And I also want it to be straight. So, and after you've spent this much time on your painting, you don't want to mess it up with something like this. So I'm going to use two colors again. I'm going to use the dark blue and the brown. And this is so small, it really doesn't matter what order you do this. Blue or brown first, doesn't really matter. So I'm going to now stamp it into the corner. And now I can position it. You know, word of warning on these, in order to make them really look realistic, make sure that you don't put too much pressure on the end, you know, where the bottom part is. Make sure that that's really a fine end here. So if you put too much pressure on it, it sort of flares out. And the whole point of it is that it looks like it's in the ground. It's kind of faded out. So let's add our little weather vane. Same thing, 2 colors, dark brown and blue. And I'm going to use this corner this time. And I can stamp it right up here. Make sure it's straight. And same thing with this one. Make sure that you don't put too much pressure on the bottom. So now let's just add a little color to that lamppost, and we are about finished. So I'm just going to take a little of this blue and just put a little bit in here. So not too much. Don't add any color to the post. It's fine just the way it is, and you don't want to make it too thick. And that looks like we are about finished. And the last thing to do, of course, is to sign and date. And just kind of look it over and see if you need to add any detail lines. I don't think we do. Looks pretty good. You can always come back to these. You know, if you put it away and come back the next day, sometimes they look totally different, especially if you're not really happy with it. If you put it away and come back the next day, I don't know how many times I've done that, and think, oh, you know what? I really like this now. Okay, I think that is finished. You can put your own sentiment up here. The little set comes with different sentiments, so a little coffee house or, you know, bakery or whatever you want it to be. Make it your own. So thank you so much for watching. I hope you liked this video. If you do, please give me a thumbs up. Be sure to subscribe and ring that bell, and I will see you guys again next week. Thank you.